Hello and welcome to I forgot the episode number. Jay,
84.
how you doing, man? Welcome to RetroSlot.
84.
84, episode
Been 84
84.
years.
Big
Yeah.
episode. Jay, you're in a new place. You moved.
Ugh.
Are you done
Yes.
moving? Like, is it over?
What? So we're in the new place. All
Yeah.
of our stuff is here except for like some odds and ends that are still in the garage that we're kind of just slowly bringing over.
Yeah.
Because the house, like, we moved in 1 week, like everything moved in 1 week.
Yeah.
And then we spent the next week or so getting the house ready, the old house to sell,
Yeah.
put it on the market on a Friday. It was sold by Monday evening,
Yes. Good. I'm glad to
like,
hear it.
and like 3 or 4% over what we were asking too.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
so
great news.
we close in a couple of weeks, so we still have like a week to get our stuff out of the garage and just get it cleaned up, but
Yeah.
for the most part, we're moved. I mean, as you can see, for anybody who's watching, we got a bunch of boxes still. We're just slowly, Wiferton works all day. I kind of work all day. Um, there's still stuff that like logistically stuff that we're doing. And then, a week after we moved in, our dog was in the hospital for 5 days
Uh,
because in one of the moving boxes that was in the bathroom that was open, I didn't realize that there was like probably a 5-year-old little travel baggie of Advil
oh
just
no.
buried in a box that we didn't even pack because we had like family help us pack.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know it was in the box. But of course, Cooper found the Advil because it's sugar coated within like 5 minutes of us not knowing where he was. And so he snarfed down. We don't know how many pills. And for those who don't know, ibuprofen or Tylenol, acetaminophen is highly toxic to dogs. Like as much as half a pill can be toxic.
Yeah.
So rushed him to the hospital where they immediately like made him vomit. Like it was already in his system within 15 minutes because that's how fast I got there. But he was there for 5 days,
Jeez.
fighting for his life. Fortunately, he's all good now. But
Glad to
it
hear it.
was, yeah, it was, it was a stressful week.
That's no
And
fun.
fortunately, we have dog pet insurance. It was just going to cover like 70% of it. But an almost $10,000 bill. It's great.
Wow. I should get
Stupid.
pet insurance. I've always like said, yeah, I should get that, and I never get it. We have 2 cats and a dog, and we have a horse, and we don't have insurance on any of that.
Yeah, I mean, our old beagle, we didn't. And he was just as food crazy. We just got lucky, I think. But with this one, I don't know. Within the week of bringing him home, he was like jumping off Superman style, like off 4-foot ledges and stuff. And I'm like, he's gonna hurt himself. Like, and it's like sub $40 a month. And I was like, the way that the math works out, if in 8 to 10 years before they like make it super expensive or whatever, I was like, if he has one vet visit that's like sub 10 grand, it will pay for itself.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
within 2 years, here we are. So, we haven't gotten paid yet by the insurance. They're looking to see if it was any like previous, they never cover any, what do they call it? Previous conditions,
Yeah,
you
sure.
know, pre-existing condition type stuff. So they're like looking through all the documentation, making sure that
Because
he,
just like human insurance, pet insurance is trying to fuck you as hard as possible.
yeah. The one thing I am happy about though is because I called them and I was like, "Is this stuff covered?" And they're like, "It is eligible for coverage. I can't legally tell you that it's covered, but it's eligible." And apparently they don't increase the cost of insurance after a claim has been submitted.
Yeah,
It's just based on like the age of the pet. So,
interesting.
um, yeah. So hopefully it all works out.
Well, I'm
But
glad he's
yeah,
okay, man. I
yeah,
know
we
moving
are.
can be stressful. Adding that into it
Yeah,
is a whole nother story. It looks like you're starting to get pretty good setup, though. I see all the game shelves behind you.
yeah,
Oh, I got a
yeah.
question. I got a couple questions about your setup.
What's up?
If you don't know, I have kind of fetish for office tours. It's kind of my thing.
Do you want me to like? I can unscrew the camera and kind of walk you
No,
around.
no,
Are
no.
you?
I want a
No.
full-on YouTube video.
Oh, okay. All right. I gotta like, there's still boxes in the room. It's not fully set up.
No,
The
no, I
one
understand.
shelf, the one shelf that shows the most on camera is like the one that's not fully full at this point.
Yeah,
There's 6 that are full. Anybody that like N64 stuff, handheld stuff, And
So
this is only showing half of the shelf, the bottom half. It's like double length tall
are those
full.
Billy bookshelves?
They are Billy bookshelves, and I
Billy
bought like
bookshelves?
5 extra shelves per shelf. So,
Yes,
like,
yes.
these have
That's
like
the nice
10.
thing about those Billy bookshelves. So Billy
Yes,
bookshelves are
they're
at IKEA.
customizable.
Yes, you can buy extra shelves for them, and they have
Yes.
several different colors. They have the white. I have the Billy bookshelf as well. It's like the wood, like the light wood
Mhm.
color, and they have like a dark wood color. But it's kind of hard to find like good media shelving anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Billy bookshelves with the extra shelving really makes it easier
Yeah.
because it's
I
the
will
right
say
depth too.
yeah, well, the depth, pros and cons, a lot of people, like, will put a little thing behind them so that kinda pushes them out
Yeah,
like
I
a
speaker
speaker or
DVD
something.
cases behind the games, so it
Okay,
kind of makes them all even. That way, they're
sure.
not all like
Yeah, I so
uneven.
especially, like, on the bottom shelves, like, if you're standing, you can't see anything on the bottom shelves because 'cause they're so
Yeah,
inset. Um, so, I might Home Depot has, like, thin strips of white wood that you can buy, and I think they'll cut it for you too. So I just have to measure. I mean, that's a lot though. That's gonna be like 70 little little spacers. I don't know if I'm like
yeah,
wanting to do that because these shelves, they're 69 bucks for the base shelf, which is pretty decent. They're solid, it's particle board, but it's solid particle board. But each individual shelf is $12.
yeah.
And I bought 32 of them.
Gets expensive.
So 7 Billy bookshelves, 32 individual shelves, you know, it's about a grand, like, for these 7 bookshelves total.
Yeah.
So
A
but
few
it's something
years
that I've
ago, I transferred all of my like DVDs, my standard definition DVDs onto a Plex server in my house, so I can
Mhm,
still watch them anytime I want. And I
sure.
haven't thrown away the boxes or the DVDs, but what I did do is I boxed a lot of them up and I put them down in the basement. But I went and got one of those boxes and I used them to like space out here.
Yeah, it's the focus. I got you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So like you can see the games are up at the front, but like with the PlayStation and the Switch, I actually was able to do 2 rows. I just
Mhm,
have them stacked on top of the DVD boxes in the back. I just stacked a
sure.
bunch of them so that now I can, kind of 2 rows because that's a lot of wasted space in the back if you can't access it. I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't know.
that's smart. I mean, you can't even see it, but the middle of each shelf is, like, double tall, and they're gonna be, like, the featured shelf.
Yeah.
And then they have, can't even see it. I have these, like, they're basically like nail polish holders. They're like plastic tiers that you
Yeah.
can get on Amazon for like 10, 12 bucks a piece.
For Game Boy
Um,
cartridges.
for Game Boy, for N64, for Super Nintendo, because I'll be
Nice.
able to fit like 20 or so cartridges on each. And for like the more like higher end stuff I want to display, I'll do it that way on those shelves. I'm still like I'm not great at like interior decorating or any of that stuff. I'm terrible at it. So
Me
I try
neither.
I try to take a lot of I'm a function over form guy. So I take a lot of inspiration from what other people are doing.
Yeah.
And ideally I could have put these Billy bookshelves like these ones have a space between them. The ones behind me are like right snug. But the reason I had to do the space between these is because there's an outlet between one of those and I wanted to
Yeah.
keep that open in case I do like a projector on top. So I didn't wanna, like, block that off, and I mounted the shelves to the wall because, like, I don't want kids
Yeah, you have
pulling on
to
those.
because they're so skinny.
Um,
Yeah, you have to mount them
yeah,
to the walls because
and
they would
I
really hurt somebody if they fell.
it's all carpet in here too. So they're like, when they're up against the wall, they're, like, very easily,
Yeah.
pulled on and stuff, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't wanna risk that." So,
I'm glad you finally have like a space for your collection now. I know that was
yeah,
kind of like
not
one of your
all the bins and boxes and
yeah.
garage and
Like I don't know. I like it'll. I feel like that's gonna help you like kind of enjoy your collection more. Is now to have it like
yeah.
available to you and to like I don't know like to handle and to just to be available as opposed to stored.
Yeah, and I need to talk with you and see if you have any ideas because what I wanna do is behind me is gonna be a couch, and
Yeah.
there's a TV on this wall. And I'm gonna get, like, a new entertainment center that's probably taller with like, you've seen those ones that have, like, the little cubes for each system that you can do some people light them and stuff.
Yeah.
But I probably have a dozen, 15 systems that I'd like to hook up to the TV, and I
So
wanna get some
I
kind
used
of
to do
hub
that,
to
and
which
what I did is I bought like a Switch that look I could make a whole video about like how I have everything, but what I ended up doing is instead of having everything hooked up all the time and then having to troubleshoot like for 30 minutes, like when anything didn't work, is I just decided, well, here, I'm going to show you real quick. I'm just gonna
Well,
grab
you
this.
because I was gonna say there's probably like AV switches that you can get.
There are. I can link them to you. I have a really good one. But what I ended up doing is I just put all the cables and the controllers in like small boxes like this. I wish they were black or something. If they were a little better looking, that'd be nicer.
Mhm.
And I store the console on top of them on a shelf like this. And then I just hook it up every time. I have an outlet and a retro tank right here. And I just hook up the console I want to hook up because everything's like so organized. It only takes me a minute.
Yeah.
And I'm not constantly trying to troubleshoot connectivity issues, which is what was happening when I had it all set up all the
Gotcha.
time.
I was doing that with the other house but it was a pain in the ass because I had like stuff on the floor in front of it and I was like trying to get behind the consoles, like
Yeah.
N64, SNES, and GameCube all have the same AV cable. So I was always switching that around. It was just a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I got it set up
So
so I just place it on the top here. There's an outlet right there, and the retro tank is right there. So I just literally like, plug them right in.
it might be more beneficial for me because what I end up doing, I have to do a lot of testing, when I'm buying and selling stuff. I'm
Yeah.
always testing things, right? And I'm testing things in different consoles. And especially when I'm going through the different Nintendo systems, it's just a pain in the butt continuously have to switch stuff around.
I'm just
So I'll
constantly
probably,
tinkering with stuff.
yeah, I'll,
That's why
I'll look at
cable
different
management
options.
doesn't work for me because like I'm constantly messing with
Yeah,
stuff.
no, my cables are
So
a mess.
it's like the my cable version of cable management is to try and just not have as many cables.
Yeah,
It's
fair.
I try and simplify as much as I can, but as a streamer, it's just like it can become an absolute nightmare to troubleshoot. Like when something is acting just a little bit goofy, and
Sure.
like trying to figure out like what in the chain is causing that. So I don't know. Yeah, I'll send you
Fair.
some links to some of the
Yeah,
stuff.
because we just got today actually closing documents like, hey, this is how much you're gonna make from your sale. And
Sweet.
we've held off on any like bigger purchases until that stuff gets squared away.
Yeah.
Obviously the shelves were gonna happen regardless. So I got started on that is because it saves space. Like it helped me unpack everything to get it all
Yeah.
up on shelves. None of it's organized yet. Literally, it was just like
You know what I'll do, Jay, is I'll write up like a kind of like a quick how to, like recommended stuff, and we'll do it on the next podcast. How's that sound?
great, perfect.
I'll try and make it like quick, less than 10 minutes.
I
But
will say straight out of the gate, I don't well, no, I might I gotta see because I'm planning to be at GCX and that's
nice.
next weekend. And so I'm coming home Monday night. So
Okay.
I might be able to do next
No
podcast.
pressure. You know,
Might.
we'll try and keep this one nice and casual.
Yeah, yeah. But
Um,
overall, yeah, getting there.
I'm also selling a house. Um,
Right.
the difference is I don't live in the house that I'm selling. I have renters that live in this house, and I actually really like the renters. So it's like I have a little bit of guilt about kind of selling the house out from under them. Uh, so to be honest with you, it's kind of been stressful for different reasons for me. Is like
Sure.
talking to them, and they don't want me to sell the house because I don't charge them much rent. I said charge them $1,000 a month, which is for a whole house pretty damn good. So
Yeah, I'm just knocking on wood waiting for the interest rates to come back down because we had to buy in at what they are
refinance,
now.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'm not gonna talk about finance rates. But yeah,
So
it's a
yeah.
stressful process. I hope to be done with it soon, but I think it's gonna be a while.
But how have you
Um,
been, otherwise? It's been over a month at this point.
pretty good. It's been a stressful period of time for like family reasons and stuff like that. So it's just been, you know, you know,
Are the kids in school right now? Like
no,
like
no,
higher education or anything? No.
no, sadly no.
Gotcha.
Uh,
So on topic,
yeah,
it's topical. I was trying to think of a discussion topic and I was like, what's your least favorite part of moving?
this is so easy to me. Okay, so when I move, honestly, I pay movers now. I have for probably 20 years. So it's actually been a while since I've like packed up my shit and like either done it with like a U-Haul style
Mhm.
scenario or even like in the back of a truck. But my least favorite part about moving is helping somebody move. This has happened to me twice, to a second story or a third story apartment with an
Oh,
elevator. You know,
oof.
I had to help one of my buddies move one time, and he was moving from the second story of a 2-family house to the next house over to the third story of a 3-family house. So we were literally taking the stuff out of his house, out of his apartment, down the stairs, walking like across the street, and then
Mm,
walking it all back up the house, like up the stairs to the house. And it's like it was like one of those stairwells that's like it's just not big enough to fit anything through. So you just
yeah,
like
yeah.
jostling. That I think is my least favorite. For me though, personally, it's packing. I cannot stand packing. I find it tedious and awful, but I don't mind unpacking. I kind of find that fun because it's like you're finding all your stuff that you haven't
Mm.
seen since the last time you moved.
Yeah, it's so weird because like we got to the new house and we got all of the essentials set up, and we're like, why the fuck do we have all of these boxes still when we have all the essentials set? Like,
Yeah,
what could possibly be in these boxes? You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, we don't need anything else. We have everything out right now. What are all these boxes doing?
I live in the house that my wife grew up in. Like she
Hmm.
literally grew up in this house. She's never really moved outside of this house,
Man.
which is crazy if you think about it because you've never packed up your shit and like decided I don't need this shit anymore. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. We were not good about that. We got to the point where we're just like, it's all gotta go. We
Yeah,
gotta
at some
go,
point you're just like throwing shit in boxes because you're just out of time and out of patience.
Yeah.
But if you do it a lot, like, and I at one point
Yeah,
in my
yeah, yeah,
life, I
yeah,
felt
yeah.
like I was just moving constantly, like
Mm.
one apartment to another apartment, or into a house or into a condo, whatever. I was just like consistently moving. Even as a kid, my mother, we were moving houses all the time, every few years, I would say. So you just kind of, first of all, if you find a box that you remember that you put in a closet the last time you moved and you never opened, you should probably just throw that box away. Like, look through
Uh,
it, make sure there's nothing important in there, but
yeah.
probably nothing. Like, assuming you're not collecting, like you don't have like collectibles, like it's probably just junk in there because you haven't needed it in the time you've lived at this house. But yeah, that's my least favorite. How about you? What's your least favorite part about moving?
So, we obviously so we moved from a one-story, three-bed, two-bath to a two-story. Almost it's like 73% bigger square footage.
Wow.
Um, and it feels like almost twice the house, essentially. And we were overrun in our other house. Like we just had way too much stuff.
Yeah.
We didn't do a good job of paring down at all. And I knew from the get-go that we were gonna pay somebody to help move the big stuff because I didn't want any like I did all of my games, all of my systems, all of the video game. I did it all myself. I don't want anybody touching my stuff. If something breaks, it's my fault. Like,
Yeah.
just it's my thing. Don't want to bother anybody else with it. So like I was doing a lot of back and forth trips in the car with just bins or, the U-Haul when we had the U-Haul for like a week almost. It was like 6 days.
Oh my god.
And
Oh my god.
it ended yeah. It ended up being 2 days because we're only 5 minutes away.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of like, and it was like a 15-foot truck. So it wasn't big enough for everything. So it required multiple trips. So I found um basically it was just like two guys who came and helped for a certain amount per hour. And we tipped and stuff. And they moved all the furniture, they loaded and unloaded all the furniture and brought all the furniture up the stairs. It's like one straight stairway. It's not very wide, but it had like an open ceiling.
Yeah.
They brought an elliptical up the stairs. I was like, I'm not doing that. It was like a 200-pound elliptical. They brought my plasma TV that's like 130 pounds. It's super awkward. I just, I don't really have any good friends down here that I would feel comfortable asking to help move
Yeah.
heavy stuff and family. They were helping a lot, but it was mostly like packing and little stuff that they were helping with,
Yeah.
just to get it all out. But as far as like my least favorite part of it, man, those days packing up the U-Haul and doing it all by myself, it was like 100 each day here. That was
100 degrees.
terrible.
That's
Yeah.
awful.
Um, it felt like it was never ending.
Yeah,
And
I know that
then
feeling.
it felt like it was never ending. Felt like we were never going to get it done. And then the stress of trying to get like in the amount of money that we spent to get the old house show ready, like all of it at the same time. I think the worst part of it was doing it simultaneously. Like,
Yeah,
we were supposed to be set up with a program to have 45 days to move and get our house ready, but because the old sellers needed 3 weeks of rent back, it cut our 45 days into 24, and then our real estate agent was like, "You need to have it ready a week before that." So then we were down to 17 days to move and get the other house ready. So, we didn't have everything boxed up at that point. Like, we thought we did have a good chunk, and then we realized we didn't. We had a full truckload boxed up, a full truckload, but it required like 8 truckloads to get everything over. Um, yeah, doing it all, the
yeah. The
stress of like
last
not.
time I moved, I literally like I did have stuff like you're saying that I just didn't want anybody touching. Mostly electronics, honestly. It's like
Yeah,
because okay, actually, new answer for a worst part about moving. Something
setting
I
all the
love
electronics back
always
up.
breaks. Something breaks every time. And
Yeah,
I'm like, oh man, like every time I move. But yeah, I mean, like I'll move the delicate stuff or the stuff that I really actually care about, which is
yeah,
usually not that much stuff. But then, they'll just pack up your
all the
house.
cables and yeah,
Yeah,
set it like moving a stream setup for anybody who's never done that is a pain in the ass,
yeah,
especially when you have 2 PCs and like, and then you turn everything on and all the audio's jacked up again and
yeah. I'm pretty anal. Like I have labels on like every cable.
oh man, I do not.
Uh,
I tried to keep like stuff together, it was just like there's
yeah,
like
it's
8
tough.
HDMI cables and 6 power cords and
And now it's like even HDMI cables aren't all created equal. And like once we kind of got into the 4K HDR, like
well, yeah, yeah.
current like HDR cables, you need good HDR cables. It's not like you could just buy any old HDMI cable like you could back in the day. You need good ones now.
Is the other one DisplayPort? I'm trying to remember the other monitor
DisplayPort,
cable.
yeah. Do you
Yeah.
use DisplayPort for anything anymore? I don't think I use it for anything anymore.
2 display ports and 1 HDMI is what I'm
Yeah.
currently running.
I think I'm all HDMI for all my monitors now.
I mean, my monitors are not none of my setup is like amazing. Like it's all good enough for me.
Yeah.
Like once I upgrade stuff, I try to run it into the ground as best I can.
Yeah. Sadly, that doesn't take as long as it used to.
I mean, I'm still like my gaming PC I built in 2017, it's still got a 1080 Ti in it.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Really?
yeah. And then I built the streaming PC 2022
Okay. That's relatively
with
new.
a 2060 Super in it. But yeah, like the gaming PC runs fine. It's like I don't have
You're
whatever
running at 1080p, I
ray
would imagine.
tracing. I don't have ray tracing and stuff. No, I mean, like I can run Destiny 2 at almost maximum settings and still get 100 frames consistently.
At 1080p.
No, 2K.
Really? 1440? Interesting.
2K monitor, yeah.
Huh.
2K IPS, like 5 millisecond monitor.
I got a question for you.
Mhm.
Uh, what is one task that your significant other does because you hate it? Like, it could be an either or. Either one of you could do this task on, I don't know, like if it's a daily or a weekly kind of
Laundry.
thing. Laundry. You just hate doing laundry.
Hate it. Hate it. Can't stand it. I mean, and the thing is too, it wouldn't be as bad, but I think if I were to do it, my wife would want me to do it the way that she does it.
Of course.
And the way that she does it takes 10 times longer than I would do it.
Well, why is that?
Because whenever, when I lived on my own and stuff, basically what I would do, I would just, separate stuff out on like the kind of cycle you're going to run, right? So you have like shirts in a pile, you have like shorts and jeans in another
Yes.
pile, and you have
Okay.
underwear in a pile, right? So, um, like I don't sort out colors or anything like that. And I literally will just throw all my shirts in the laundry. I'll put some soap in and I'll run it on cold or medium cold or whatever, and that's fine. Or
Yeah.
I'll underwear is on warm hot, right? I know all that stuff. I know how to do laundry.
Yeah.
I would go on tour and have to do my laundry with drum corps and stuff too. My wife, she gets spray and wash and will spray any armpit, any stain, any discoloration of any shirt for all 4 of us.
Whoa.
Just shirts will take her like an hour just to put them in the laundry. I'm
What
like,
the heck?
she's like, "I don't want any stains to stay." I'm like, "I did, but they're it's
They make more clothes.
uh,
This is why I
it,
have like going to town clothes and grub clothes, like for like clothes that I don't care about getting dirty. Like if I'm mowing the lawn or I'm doing work around the house, even though I'm just hanging around the house, I wear just like grubby clothes. And then I go out, I wear like nicer clothes, right? Like, and then
sure.
it's like it feeds it downward, right? Like the nicer clothes eventually get stained and become grubby clothes.
Yeah, I mean, when I used to do all of my own shirts and stuff,
Yeah,
not even the outside. I mean, on some shirts that I would use for drum corps and stuff, you could see like deodorant stains because I use antiperspirant, so
yeah,
it'd be kind of white. But it's white on the inside,
yeah,
but nobody sees that. Like,
yeah.
who cares if the
That's just
inside's
future
stained?
deodorant.
I don't care.
I don't care either. I'm
So
much closer to you. I probably was simpler than yours. I would just throw everything in on
oh,
cold
everything
water.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, safe.
And then
The
low
thing is
heat
that
dry.
the thing I struggle with that is if you're putting like jeans with shirts and stuff, sometimes it can like rip holes in shirts and things, which I try to avoid. So I put my shirts inside out and stuff to try to protect like graphic tees and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so every time I do the laundry, she's like, "Are you gonna spray them?" I'm like, "Nope."
No.
She's like, "All right, then I'm doing it." I'm like, "Mother, just let me do it."
It
She'll let
just
me
appears
do
down there
like
for
anything
hours.
else, like towels, underwear, any of that stuff I can do. But I
My
also
wife
hate
is the same way. She likes to do the laundry. She doesn't like me doing it. It's not because I don't do it right. It's just because I think she just likes the quiet solitude because our
God,
laundry is in the basement. So I think she
yeah,
just likes being
sure.
down there. Like nobody's bugging her down there, you know?
Yeah. Both of us hate it. But she has her wants to do it that way. The other thing is too, we have 2 little kids, and I don't think they have a single pair of socks that's the same.
Oh,
So, like, sorting those motherfuckers,
yeah. So
like, every single pair is different.
when you buy socks, here's the secret. When you buy socks, buy like enough socks so you can wear socks for like 2 weeks and buy them all exactly the same.
Yeah, that's what I do. I get the Costco Puma socks, the ankle, the millennial ankle Puma socks,
Oh yeah, there
and
they are.
comfy as all get out. And that's like so there's like 2 or 3 variations of like the dark Puma socks. That's it.
Yeah,
My kids have 40 pairs of socks and every single one of them's different. So like
yeah.
trying to pick and
I
we
have
both have ADHD, so
I have some specialty socks. Like I have some like merino wool socks that like I like to wear, especially in the wintertime. Or if like I'm hiking or if I'm doing like an outdoor activity where my feet could get wet. But like mostly I'm just wearing exactly the same
yeah,
socks over and
yeah.
over again.
My wife has a ton of different kinds of socks too.
Yeah, I don't get it. You're
But
just making life more difficult for yourself.
and we have the ADHD issues. So as I saw on a TikTok, they call it the floor drobe. So after the laundry gets done, there's like a good 2-week period where the clothes just stay in the basket or on the floor until we prioritize and decide to hang them up or sort them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We are not clean freaks. Like we're just
Now we use our basement as kind of our wardrobe too because the laundry's right there. Our like we shower on the first floor, not on the second floor where our bedrooms are.
Hmm.
So it's like I don't know, like you got to go get the clothes from either upstairs or downstairs anyway. So why not just consolidate like everything into the base this like one basement space so everything's like hung up down there and folded down there.
Mhm.
It's just like that's where our kind of changing room is.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Our new house, the laundry room is tiny. It doesn't even have a utility sink.
Yeah.
And so there's a bathroom right next door and she wants to like all the wet stuff's hung up in there right now, like on the shower thing, like on the side of the tub, on the
Oh,
she's
that's
like,
no
"Yeah, I
good.
think." No, I'm like she's like, "I think I might put our hanging rack in the tub and then get a curtain." I'm like, "That is just kinda I hate it."
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you won't see it, but I hate it. She's like, "Do you have a better
Oh,
solution?"
nobody
I'm like,
uses the tub? What would
"No."
drive me
Well,
crazy is I'd have to move everything every time I
we have 3 bathrooms. The one
yeah.
downstairs is like the guest tub or the guest bathroom or like, whatever. And then there's 2 bathrooms upstairs, one's the kids and one's ours.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's
So
perfect.
the only time somebody would use the one downstairs is if it was like a guest or something that was staying over.
Yeah.
Just doesn't happen often. But
When I finally remodel this house, I'm definitely gonna do a laundry up here on the second floor. Like definitely. All right. Anyhow, I'm gonna move on. Let's
what's
do some
your well, you
gaming
didn't say
stuff.
what
It's been a
your
half hour.
what was yours though? What was
Dude,
yours,
I
sir?
can't stand grocery shopping, and it's not the only reason I can't stand it is because it's like the the herd of cows that is just like slowly moseying around inside of the
We've talked about this before.
of the grocery store, and they're like so rude too. It's like everybody's got to like kind of block the aisle, and they're like staring at the cereal like something has changed in the last 10 years. Like just pick out your fucking Honey Nut Cheerios and get the fuck out of the way. You know,
Kellogg's and Post own everything. All right, there you go.
I hate it so much, and like I'm just trying to get through
Normal.
this as fast as possible to like limit the pain. But everybody else, it's like a fun activity or something. Like they're just like they're so slow and they're so rude, like blocking the way, and like I don't know, man. It's like it's the place where I thought of my one slap a year platform that I'm going to run for government office on is I believe that you should for the government be given one slap per year to use at your discretion. Look, you can't knock anybody out here, but I'm just talking about a good slap across the face to wake somebody up. Like you get one scot free. You only get one though, so you got to use it wisely.
Yeah, usually that would happen to me while driving somewhere, like so many people not paying attention. Uh, I was just gonna rebuttal to your grocery shopping thing. The reason I like grocery shopping is because I systemize it,
Yeah,
right? So I have the Safeway app on my phone, and I go through and I clip all the coupons that I would use. We have a list of all the things that we need, right? And I have a route in the grocery store that I take every single time. I know where everything is, and so I do my route. I get the stuff, and I'm saving quote unquote like a third of the bill
yeah.
based on all the coupons and discounts and stuff I'm doing. So
I'm
like,
with you,
my,
and I like your style, dude. I dig it. You're not my problem. The problem is like this like blue-haired old lady who like stops in the middle of the lane, kitty corners her cart, so there's no way anybody could possibly get by, and then like gets in your face if you say, "Excuse me, can I get by?" Like, come on, lady. Like, what do you expect here? You know, like, oh man, it's just like, and now, oh, I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I'm getting upset. I can't stand it.
Trader Joe's is harder for me because
Trader Joe's is
I don't
awful. It's like the worst case
I don't
scenario.
have it I don't have it systemized, and like all the freezer stuff, right? Like you have to see what's there, like,
Yeah,
but there's 10 other people trying to
yeah.
yeah. Anyways.
But so I mean, the solution to this is easy for me. Is what I do is I do the same thing you do. I have the app for the local grocery store.
Mhm.
I do my whole order on the app, and then I go to the grocery store, and they bring that shit out to my car,
Mhm.
and I'm done.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That I've found that it takes me longer doing online orders than just going to the store
I mean, it's
because
longer sitting on my couch though. Like the quality of time
yeah,
spent is
it's easy.
higher.
It, it's often easier for me to see what's on sale because a lot of my purchase decisions are based on what's currently on sale.
Yeah.
Um, snacks, chips, whatever. And so if I'm there, I can just scan and see and grab. If you're on the app, you have to like check all the things and like, it's just kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah. We may have different apps. I find it pretty easy. I actually don't even use my phone. I use the computer.
That's fair.
So we got a lot of gaming news. We should get to it 40 minutes into the podcast.
Yeah, I skipped a lot too. Like
Yeah,
this.
there is a lot, but it's some pretty interesting stuff. Not
Yeah.
great news to get going though here. Game Informer has shut down after 33 years. I
Is
mean,
that the longest probably one of the longest like retro
I,
style magazines, right?
what do you mean retro style?
I
I mean, they
mean,
were a
that's
modern magazine.
yeah, it's true.
They made,
But
I
but don't
mean,
they
go ahead.
I haven't read Game Informer in probably 15 of those years, so
I have. They, they've still been making it. You know, there's not a whole lot of magazines left, right? Um, and sadly, this one just got nuked. Like, kind of, I think they had layoffs a couple years ago, and I think maybe the writing's on the wall for a lot of these kind of like magazines. Um, but they just fired everybody. They put up like some super generic thing on the website that said, thanks for sticking with us, and then the like people who actually worked there tried to like tweet something out, and they just nuked the Twitter account. They shut down the Twitter
Mhm.
account. Like they're just completely like burning the whole place down on the way out.
So how long has GameStop owned Game Informer? Do we
A
know
long
that?
time. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, but it's been a long time. But I still remember when Game Informer was kind of like the newer magazine. Like I was reading like Game Pro and let's see, what's some Electronic Gaming Monthly, EGM, Nintendo Power. Like that stuff
Mhm.
was much older. Game Pro or Game Informer, I felt like was the newer one.
33 years. So that was what, 91, 91. They GameStop bought it in 2000.
Okay.
For anybody
Yeah,
curious.
and for the longest time, they would just give you like if you signed up for like a GameStop kind of like member
Oh,
card, they would
I
just
didn't
give
even put
you.
that together that it was the Game Informer subscription that was part of the Pro subscription.
Yeah,
Now I remember. I've had GameStop Pro a few times. Usually when it's like, you take in stuff and it's like you could get an extra $60 if you buy this $15 subscription. It's like, great,
yeah,
do it.
and you get a magazine.
Um yeah. So now okay. I don't know why I didn't put that together just now. It
uh,
was a decent magazine. It was a decent magazine.
yeah, I
Sad
mean,
for all the
I think it
people
was
working
probably
there
the
for sure.
biggest magazine of the current modern age.
For
I don't
sure.
know, maybe
Sure.
Edge magazine, like Edge magazine is still cooking. Hopefully they stick around.
Is that a gaming mag or like a technology
Yeah,
mag?
yeah,
Gaming.
gaming. Yeah. RomHacking.net is effectively shutting down. They're going to be like a read-only site, so you're not going to be able to submit any new hacks to it anymore. I think they're transferring all of their stuff over to archive.org. Kind of a sad story here. It seems like harassment and like internal politicking is really what's causing the shutdown, which blows. I guess there has been some threats about copyright stuff, but
Sure.
really, I can't remember the guy's name now. Give me a second, and I'll get his name. But really, the guy in charge really kind of listed like kind of just like internal politics and harassment as like really he just didn't want to be in the public eye anymore. Nightcrawler, I believe, is his name.
Hmm.
Which
It's a
is kind of
bummer.
sad because that's really been like quite a resource for especially the retro gaming community. Getting like translations, getting fixed games, getting ROM hacks, all sorts of stuff.
You wonder if
Uh,
anybody will pick this stuff up.
yeah, I don't know. Like I guess he did a search for a year for like a successor, but couldn't find anybody, and then like I don't know. It doesn't sound
I
like
mean,
it
because
went well.
I imagine there's no money in this at all, right?
No,
Because
I,
you
I
can't.
can't imagine.
Because if you're profiting off of this, then that
Then it
leads to a
makes it
lot
illegal.
more liability. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna want their piece if you're making any money off it.
Yeah, I think we might have talked about this last week, but now it's been released. The open source Genesis EverDrive has been
Right.
released. $40 shipped. Pretty sweet. It's a pretty basic EverDrive. Anybody who doesn't know what an EverDrive is, basically you put an SD card filled with games into a cartridge, basically a fake cartridge, and then you stick it into real hardware, in this case a Genesis or a Mega Drive, and then you can play these games. So this one's pretty basic. It doesn't have its own CPU or any kind of like FPGA inside of it, so it can't do like kind of the special stuff like special chips or Sega CD emulation. There's no save states or anything like that. But like you know, you can just load it up with a bunch of games and stick it in your Mega Drive or your Genesis, and for $40, that's a heck of a value. I don't have one of these for Genesis, so I think I'm gonna pick this up because it's so cheap. Like EverDrives can be like over $200 pretty quickly.
Sure. Yeah.
So for $40, I think that's a great deal. $40, I believe, is shipped as well.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So is this basically like a software emulation cart?
No, this is taking the ROM off of a hard drive, loading it into the memory of the cartridge, and then playing it on real hardware.
Right. I'm just
Software
trying my
emulation would be like taking that same ROM,
doing it on a different system. Yeah.
loading it onto like a PC, and like using software to emulate the Genesis.
Yeah, I understand that part. I think my brain is trying to find the other than like the little special things that they have on it. Like my brain is having a hard time like figuring out the like maybe the market for this. And not that there isn't one, there absolutely is one, but why wouldn't you get this over like a software emulation
Because
something?
you want to stick this in an actual Genesis.
Right.
That's why you'd get this. So you want to play games that you maybe can't afford. What was that game they bought for Genesis last episode? Crusader Senti. That game is really
Mm.
expensive to buy, but maybe you want to play it on actual hardware to get as authentic experience as you can. So this device would be perfect for that because you're playing on real hardware with a cartridge that has the ROM on it.
There'd be no issue with compatibility here, right?
I think there might be if you have some. I do
I
believe
think
there
that
are
was
some
more of my
Genesis games that have
question.
like special chips, similar to how NES games. Some NES
Okay.
games have special chips. So I don't know. I haven't tested this myself. I assume that it's going to be compatible with most stuff, but what you get with like the more expensive ROM cartridges or EverDrives is more compatibility for like the weird stuff, like the what was Virtua Racer? No, that's not the name of that game, is it? Virtua.
Virtual Racing? There is a Genesis game called Virtual Racing.
Yeah.
It is a taller cart. I think it's an EA cart.
Yeah, I thought I had it, but I don't see it. Um, yeah, it was like it had like 3D graphics, and it was done with the cartridge actually had hardware in it
Mm.
to allow it to do that. So you probably wouldn't be able to do something like that. But like for 99% of the games, probably work fine.
Sweet.
Uh, Next one up, Voltar's Edge Enhancer mod for the Super Nintendo is, I guess, complete, and I think he's taking orders for this. So for the time being, you actually have to send him your SNES, and he will mod it for you. But what this does is the first generation Super Nintendos had like two separate. I don't know the technical details. I think it was like one was a CPU and one was like a video chip, something like that. And like later on, they modified the console in production, so it was a one chip system. So like those two chips were combined into one chip, and that one chip system, which is newer, has much cleaner video output, much like less interference in the output. It just looks nicer on a TV, especially when you're sticking it in like a RetroTink or another upscaler and putting it on a modern TV. You can really see a difference. So the thing with that though is that the one chip has some compatibility issues because it's a little bit different. The games that were written with the two chip in mind, there are some compatibility issues with the one chip. So something like the SNES Junior, better video output, not exactly 100% compatibility. So this is a really cool mod because the two chip ones, the original Super Nintendos, are now going to be able to compete video output wise with the one chip consoles, but also be kind of the originals. Plus, if you have your old legacy Super Nintendo from when you were a kid and it's a 2 chip, you haven't been able to get the most pristine video out of that, but now you will be. So that's pretty cool. People have been really looking forward to this. He's been working on it for a long time. I think right now you have to send your stuff to him to mod, but I think eventually he'll be selling this for other people to do as well.
So the mods, it says at the bottom, the mod is expected to cost around $100. What would be the justification for getting, or I guess the sell here is that even though it costs more than getting like a one chip system, it means that you have the full compatibility. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
or perhaps you have a emotional attachment to your original Super Nintendo, but you want better
Sure.
video out of it. Also, if you don't want the junior system, are you familiar with the junior system? It looks a
Yeah,
little
yeah, I
different.
have one of those. Yeah.
Um, it can be hard to know if you're getting a one chip or a 2 chip if you're looking at the older plastic design. Like the original Super Nintendo design that came to America, it can be hard to know like what you're actually getting. So that can be an issue. So at least now, no matter what you get, you'll have an option to get pristine video out of it, which is great
For
news.
sure. Gotcha.
Um,
Cool.
and you still have to mod. You still want to mod the one chips to get pristine video out of those as well, because all their. Oh wait, no, you don't. I don't think. Never mind. Scratch that. I think you can just plug in a multi-system out. Another cool
Yeah,
story. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I was curious if there was any one chips that don't have compatibility issues.
No, I think it's in it's
That's
because it's a
part of
one
it.
chip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Got it. Yeah.
I think the compatibility issues are really minor. It's like you see a little bit of like weird, like speckled sprites at the top of the screen in some
Sounds like
games.
the NES.
Yeah, it's not that big a deal, unless it is a big deal to you. Blue Retro just opened pre-orders for the Xbox Bluetooth adapter. This is for the original Xbox, the old big boy. That came out, what, 2001? Did that come out? 2000? No, the original Xbox.
2001. I think 2001 sounds right.
And so this allows you to use Bluetooth controllers with your Xbox, which is nice. And Blue Retro now has several of these for different video game systems, and they all have been very highly reviewed with very low latency and good compatibility with controllers. So this seems like another great option for your retro consoles, which is awesome. And these are
Except
usually
it's
pretty
sold
cheap,
out.
like $20 or $30.
It's sold out and it's $49.99.
$50. It
I
already
just
sold
clicked
out. I literally
I
was
just
just looking
clicked
at it
the link.
earlier, and the pre-orders were open.
I clicked the link and it says BRX batch number 1 pre-order $49.99 with
All right.
and add shipping on top of that for $50 and it's sold out. Batch 1 is currently expected to ship by the end of October.
Yeah, they usually sell these things, I think, on like Castlevania games and like some other resellers, so you might be able to get them that way. Jay, you got more news about the Street Fighter movie? It's probably gonna stink.
Yeah, it's not really more news. Like they still have the production rights by the company Legend, and the director they haven't announced new directors. Those the directors or producers or whoever, Danny and Michael Philippou,
Yeah.
they are no longer working on the film, but they have a release date,
Ha-
like March 20th, 2026,
All right.
with no updated like staff or anything.
Yeah.
Sounds like a recipe for success.
That sounds like maybe just like a placeholder. Like, how can you have a release date
Maybe.
for a movie that's not even in production yet?
Was announced earlier this week from the Hollywood Reporter, so I have no idea.
Did Legendary make the first one?
That is a good question. I have no idea. I can look it up.
Okay.
Looking it up. 1994. Produced, starring, based on cinematography. Distributed Universal Pictures, Columbia Pictures. Yeah, no. Budget was 35 million
Wow.
and it made 99 million in the box office.
Great success.
Eh?
I have one of these Game Boy operators. What's going on with this thing? GB operator.
Yeah, so GB operator, which you can buy for what is it, $50?
Yeah, it's pretty cheap.
Um, they are currently working on the ability to use the Game Boy camera as a like live webcam.
Amazing.
They said as a streamer, I'm kind of excited about this actually.
Yes.
And I have a couple of like spare Game Boy cameras I could just plug in.
Yeah, I
But
might have to buy one.
they have an example of it. It's working, but they still need to like tinker and fix some of the like final details about it
Sure.
before. Um, but they're like they're excited about it being used as the best and worst camera you could possibly.
Yeah, it looks awesome, honestly.
For those who don't know, the GB operator is like a little piece of hardware. It's a really small um, piece of hardware that plugs into your USB, and you can play. I don't know all the systems, but it's probably like all the handheld ones: Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, right?
Yeah,
You can
Game
rip
Boy, Game Boy
ROMs from
Color, Game
them.
Boy Advance. Yeah, it's
You
pretty
can
neat because you're literally just plugging this thing into your computer, and then you can basically transfer the ROM off the cartridge into your computer and play either emulator or just get your save games off of it, or even save your ROMs. It's a pretty neat little
Yep.
device.
And it also one of the fun things is for collectors and stuff is that it can tell you if it's a legitimate copy or not.
Oh, neat.
So if you have yeah, so if you have like a legit Pokemon copy of something, right? Because that's the most copy reproduced
Yeah, I
game in
bet
my
that comes
opinion.
up a lot.
Yeah. So, anyways, I'm excited to use that as camera. I thought that was fun.
That is fun.
Ant Ant Stream, which we've talked about a handful of times on this podcast over the years, you can now load onto your iPhone or iPad to play over 1,300 retro games via Ant Stream.
Why would I want to do
So
this when I can just load an emulator onto my phone? I assume
this
there's
is
going to be like a
illegal.
monthly fee
This
for
would
this, right?
yes, I'm sure it is. It's
$3.99 a
$3 a
month.
month, or it's
Yeah,
$4 a month or $30 a year.
yeah. Why
But it
would I
would
want
be
to do this
legal.
and then have what? It's legal to have an emulator on your phone. Don't look at me like that. It is legal.
Still a gray area if you don't own the games, and even if you do own the games. But yeah, sure.
I mean, I don't know.
This
I would never do this. Like, there's
this
no way.
this probably has a better UI than like an emulator, though.
But I'm sure the gameplay is worse because you're streaming the game. You're gonna have all that input latency.
If I remember correctly, too, AntStream allows like leaderboards and stuff too. Does it allow PvP? Play against other
I
people?
don't know. That's a good
Built-in
question.
leadership leaderboards and achievements. Also holds regular themed challenges based around particular titles.
Okay,
I
so
don't know
there's
if
like
you
a
can
little
play.
community thing. But okay, that's
Yeah,
compelling.
can't remember
Do you
if it
play
allows
games
you
on
to
your
play.
phone ever?
Only when I'm traveling, and usually only Raid Shadow Legends
Yeah.
because I got to
Your
do my
Discord
guilds.
always says you're streaming or you're playing Raid Shadow
Because I have it
Legends.
open all day, pretty much. Like, because what is it? Like 2 or 3 hours, you have to have the game open to get all of the rewards for the day. So a
I
lot of the
don't think
times
I've ever played it.
a lot of times I just have it open, and I'm not even at the computer or anything like that. I just have it sitting there, pulling energy. Anyways, so you remember the Super Nintendo PlayStation, right?
Yeah,
Or the Nintendo PlayStation?
yeah.
So the last time that system sold, I can't remember how many years ago it was, but it
Not
sold
that
on
long
heritage
ago.
auctions for 300,000, right? Which to me seems low in 2020, like at the start of that big boom that happened.
Yeah, I bet if they had
Probably
waited like a year, they would have gotten more.
Probably over 1,000,000. Actually, if I remember correctly, wasn't there an offer on it for like $3 million and the dude turned it down and then it only sold for
You might
300,000?
be right. Yeah, you
Pretty
might be
sure
right
that's the
about
story.
that. Yeah.
So, but a different story. They found one of the controllers, which apparently there was only over 300 made and most of them were destroyed. Somebody found a controller which looks like a regular Super Famicom controller. It's got the colored buttons,
Yeah.
but it's just got a PlayStation logo instead of a
Yeah.
Super Nintendo logo. It's got the same like adapter for the system and stuff. So it's going to be going up for auction soon. I don't think it's live right now.
Yeah.
Knees, sorry.
It's got a Sony logo on the plug too.
Yeah.
It
But
looks probably
otherwise,
unused.
it the description of it says that it was lightly used. Looks like it, or no, actually, it is up for auction right now. It's currently at $2,200, and it goes for how long? Till the 16th, so another 10 days or so.
You gonna bid on it? You gonna get one yourself one of
No,
those?
no, no. I have no interest in stuff like this. Like, whatever. It's a cool piece of history. If it went for like 2,500 bucks, I would consider it, but it's not. It's going to go for like 30, 40, 50,000. I guarantee it. Um, because these are just, they're off into the wild. The funny thing to me though is that the description says untested, buy at your own risk.
Oh,
Like,
you don't have
it's
a you
got
don't
a
have a
it's got a
Super
regular Super
PlayStation?
Nintendo plug.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so what are the chances that it like works?
I mean,
Like,
who's ever gonna use it anyway? It's gonna be like a
no.
showpiece, right?
Yeah. You're not gonna spend that much on a controller just to use it. Wouldn't make any sense.
That'd be a baller move, though, if you did use it.
Well, it's like people that spend thousands and tens of $1,000s on shoes and then wear them. You know what I mean? Like that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
It's a status symbol at that point. They're whatever, bragging, flaunting it,
People who commute in collector
flexing,
cars.
flexing. Yeah. I don't know.
What's
Anyways,
next?
the for those who don't know, Gold World Champion cart. Do you know about the Nintendo World Championship Gold cart?
Of course I do. I've seen The
Okay.
Wizard.
Okay. So for those who don't know, there was a there was a competition long time ago. It was the Nintendo World Championships. It only happened once, as far as I know. And I can't remember how many gold carts were made, like 10.
Yeah, it wasn't
It's a
many.
very small number. There's quite a few, there's a good handful of regular carts. Um,
Oh, we got a visitor over here.
he wants to know how to spell Johnny. But anyway, so one of those gold carts has come up for auction, which Pat, the NES punk, said he doesn't know the last time in the last decade that this cart has come up for sale in any condition. And this one doesn't even have the label on it. It's a 4.0 CGC, very not good condition. And it's currently sitting at $160,000 with 11 days left. Like, this could very easily go for, I don't know, quarter of a million, if not more.
Nice.
So,
A nice payday for somebody.
yeah. But most of these are probably collector to collector, right?
Yeah. Did you buy Nintendo just released that like special edition, like kind of their world championship thing,
I
and
saw
it
that.
came with a
And
cartridge, but it is a
yeah,
non-working cartridge, which missed opportunity if you ask
yeah.
me.
If I ever go for a full set or something, I'd probably get something like that for the, collection. I'm not like I'm gonna spend, because even a gray cart goes for like 30 grand
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
as far as I know. But there's also reports. I didn't put this in the news or anything. I saw it somewhere that for those that bought that collector's edition or whatever that has the little stand,
Mm-hmm.
like a little plastic stand, crystal stand or whatever, to open it and check because a lot of them are arriving broken.
Bummer.
Yeah, because a lot of people aren't even opening that thing.
Yeah, they're just buying it as a collector's item.
Mhm. We mentioned this before. I think the last episode they were talking about making a Sierra Online documentary.
Yeah,
The crowd fund is open. Well, it was open. It was fully funded within 24 hours.
great.
They were trying for a goal of 75,000. It literally ended the minute this podcast went live. Or
Oh,
no, I
really?
guess it says 4:48. So it was like 20 minutes ago the crowdfunding ended. Um, and it went for $357,000 out of 75. So we're gonna probably update a little bit more at some point, but you're gonna have an opportunity to see this in some capacity. This was like, special edition, Blu-rays, all that kind of stuff.
That's cool.
And yeah, kind of fun. I Did you play much? We talked about this before. The CR games, like the PC games back in the day, in the 80s,
Yeah, a little
90s.
bit. Not a ton. I didn't have a PC to call my own until 1995, which
Mm.
was, you know, pretty late, but kind of pretty early, like at the beginning of the internet. But I don't know.
Yeah, we were early PC adopters. My dad was an aeronautical engineer and stuff. He did. Funny thing is, my dad was an aeronautical engineer, couldn't use a computer
Mm-hmm.
at all. Like I tried to teach him once, couldn't double click the mouse. He's like, "I'm done. This I don't need to learn how to
Got
do
that
this."
got that boomer energy coming at you.
Dude, no, actually he might have been from the silent generation. He was born in 29. Anyways,
Oh wow.
um so yeah, we had a 386 was our first PC.
Yeah.
Just MS-DOS as far as I remember. And then it went to Windows 3.1 was
Yeah.
because I ended up getting the 386. Like when my mom got a Pentium 2, right? Like a Gateway 2000 or something like that.
Oh my god. Does
Um,
Gateway still exist?
that's a good question.
I
I don't
haven't seen one in a while.
know. I remember thinking that that Gateway was like the bee's knees. It was
It
before so
was.
it was called Gateway 2000, but you know, it was released like in the 90s at some point.
Yeah.
Um,
That was just their
Pentium
brand.
processor.
And their boxes.
And
I remember my mother got one at her work and I helped her set it up. Like our kid came to work to help her set up her PC, but it came in a box that was like it had like cow kind of
yep,
speckles on the
yep,
box, like
yep,
printed
the
on the
cowl,
box,
yeah.
like the cow
Mhm.
blotches. They're kind of weird. Yeah,
Yep,
I
that's
don't have like a deep history of playing these. I played a King's Quest. I can kind of remember one of my friends had Leisure Suit Larry, which we thought was just about the like most subversive shit we'd ever seen, which is
mhm.
really pretty tame by today's standards. I don't have a deep history. I was really a console gamer until probably 1995, honestly.
We probably didn't we didn't play a ton of PC games, but there was a lot of, like, educational PC games that I remember playing as a kid.
Lame.
Um, I remember playing, like, Scorch and Tank, and
Yeah.
I remember playing, like, NHL 90 whatever on a PC at some point,
Yeah.
but, yeah, we played a lot of video games.
The
Anyways,
first video game that I really got to into on PC was TIE Fighter. I was like blown away by that game.
was it Star Wars TIE Fighter?
Hmm.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever played that.
It was fantastic.
Did you hear about, Analog's been releasing all these different versions of the Pocket and all this that they have
Yeah.
the
I've been
glow in the
watching.
dark and then the just the
Yeah.
colors and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I thought the glow in
They
the dark one was cool. I thought the colors ones
yeah,
were cool, but apparently they crack pretty easily, which is
weren't they were still only like 269 for those or whatever,
a little
right?
more expensive than the standard one, but not like crazy.
289 something.
Yeah.
These ones, they released an aluminum version for $500.
That is insane.
There's still some that are available. They
I
released
bet.
this July 15th.
Yeah.
July 15th is when these so like 3 weeks ago. And there's still, let's see here. I think 2 of the colors are sold out. The noir and the indigo are sold out, but they still have black and aluminum in stock
Yeah.
currently.
$500 is ridiculous. When you can buy originally they were what? 180?
The first ones I either 189 or 199
Okay.
or
So around
219
$200.
something.
So a $300 markup to get an aluminum case on the thing is insane. I'm sorry. That's outrageous.
Probably not very many made of these, but yeah.
More
Wild
than
to
they
me.
could sell.
Apparently, they'll sell them eventually. Somebody will buy them and hold them and
Yeah.
think that they're going to go up. We didn't cover this when it was live, but apparently limited run shipped out, or did we? They shipped out copies of D
Yeah.
as CDRs 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And as of, or actually, it was almost 3 months ago at this point. As of July 12th, there was no update. So basically, I kind of read quickly through the statement from Limited Run. They're like, basically, we had to do CDRs because it was the only way that we could get compatibility with this game specifically with the 3DO stuff. And a lot of the replicated discs that we're trying to use, had compatibility issues, so we ended up using CDRs. But people were having compatibility issues with the CDRs, um, And so now they're like, all right, we're gonna figure it out and get back to you. And they
Yeah.
haven't.
Well,
Uh,
limited run. This story to me is a little bit of a non. The original story that it is a story. Like I can't believe they shipped out CDRs. Like, come on, that's like who do you think your target audience is? Do you think that's gonna be acceptable? Because
yeah,
like basically their whole target audience is collectors.
yeah.
But the fact that they haven't done anything in the 2 months since they responded to this story doesn't surprise me at all because this is like the slowest moving company on the planet. You know, like
Well, and their public facing messaging is always lacking.
it's
They just don't
super
update.
slow and sometimes they just ghost you. Like they don't say anything.
Yeah.
But like if you order something from these guys, I have ordered things and not gotten it for 2 to 3 years. You know, like so if you think you're getting this thing in 2 months, you got another thing coming.
I should just like lobby to them a position like like a social media manager or like a marketing manager or something. Just basically somebody that can keep the public updated
I thought
on
that's
what's
what Jeremy
happening.
Parrish was going to be doing. You know who Jeremy
Does he
Parrish
work?
is?
Yeah, does he work with analog
He was. I don't know if he still does. Not analog with limited run.
or limited run? Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, my
but
brain. Sorry.
yeah, I mean, look, buyer beware on this stuff from all of these companies. To be honest with you, because they often take a long time. There are fake companies out there that are pretending to be selling like limited run style stuff, like and like you give them your money and then you just never get product. You know, so and with limited run, I have like I said, like 2 to 3 years to get product from them.
Wild.
It is wild.
Um, this I thought was ironic. So they are releasing, if they haven't already, this is actually a review called Tap 2,
Yeah,
which is an NFC loading system. I think it's just a general NFC loading system. I don't know if it's for phones or what, but you can use it on the Mister to give your Mister a physical connection to like retro games. So basically, you can load ROMs on these little NFC cards,
I don't
and
even
then you
think it.
can.
I don't even think you load ROMs onto them. I think they just like trigger the FPGA to
Oh, they
load a
just like
ROM.
load.
Yeah,
It just like points to the ROM. So it's basically like a little. It looks like a Hue card from the TurboGrafx 16,
yeah, it looks
basically.
exactly like that.
And you just it's just weird to me. The whole idea of a Mister is to not have physical media.
No, I don't think that's the
And
whole idea of a
well, not
Mister.
the whole idea. One of the
Yeah,
biggest perks, I would say, is that it simplifies how you're accessing the media. But now they're introducing this physical element to it where you have these cards and you're grabbing the card and you're tapping the NFC chip, which then pulls up the game or ROM or whatever on your Mister. It seems silly to me personally, but I'm
I'm
sure there's
gonna
a
have to
market
agree
for
with
it.
you here. This seems silly to me too. Especially, do you see the picture where the guy's like holding a radiant silver gun? And if you look to the left side of the image, there's like a couple of Game Boy ones because they're like professionally like printed. So they have
Well,
like the
yeah, and you
cover
have
art,
to do it separately, I think. They don't,
but
like, do
there's
that for you.
one card that just has like writing Castlevania SOTN on it. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, why are we like
These are not, like,
adding
offici
additional Why are we adding additional like
yeah.
costs, additional complexity? You know, like why are we adding all this and then just handwriting like it's your mixtape that you're handing your girlfriend? Like,
Yeah, and it's this little extra piece of hardware that plugs in via USB, so it's, like, extra cords,
yeah,
extra little implements. I mean, it's cool technology, don't get me wrong,
yeah.
but
I'm
the
sure that
logic.
people are into this because like now you can have all your games on physical media. It's cool, or
To a
at
point,
least like
yeah.
you have like, there's people like to have stuff. But this one is just this one's been around for a while. Like people have been talking about it, and I just never have understood. I'm sure people are gonna enjoy it. I'm sure people are gonna get it and enjoy it. But for me, I cannot get it. Like I don't understand why.
Yeah, if you could leverage this technology in a more, like, usable use case, then I think it could be, like, a good sell. But this specific use case that they're reviewing or arguing for, it seems weird to me. So,
Yeah.
I
All
just
right,
thought it was
so here's
ironic.
the use case. I'm reading in the article is that like if you're one of those people who just gets like crippled by choice by just like looking at a list of like every NES game presented to
Mm-hmm.
you, like having like a few of these with your favorites on it can help you just to kind of like, oh, I'm gonna play a little bit you know, maybe you have like all the Castlevania games on this thing, and you're just like, I'm gonna play Castlevania 2 for a while. Like I could see that, but I don't know, man. It's it's a problem. It's a solution without a problem to me.
Sure. Right. Exactly. Yeah, it's cool technology. I just
It
would
is
like to see
cool.
it. Yeah. Like, how is the UI on the Mister? Can you like set favorites and stuff on the Mister?
Maybe there's a lot of different like customizations you could do with the Mister.
Okay.
Mine is pretty like straightforward, set up like basic. Um,
Because
and
if you just
all
had like a
it's just
favorites folder, it would do the same thing.
yeah. Well, you can make any folder you want because you're making the like you're making the whole all the folders yourself.
Like
So
a
if you
file
want
system. Yeah. Okay.
like okay.
So, and this last story, I thought it was fun. So there's a billboard. I don't know where this billboard is, but it's basically like a picture of what looks like a Game Boy screen, a Game Boy, like an original Game Boy. And it says on the billboard, if you've played on this screen, it may be time to screen for cancer.
Oofa.
Yeah, it's from the it's from the Prevent Cancer Initiation or Foundation, the Prevent Cancer Foundation. E Starland tweeted about this. It's funny.
I love it and I hate it at the same time.
Yeah, right? Son of a pretty silly. So there should be one like that, but for what are those rectal exams? Colonoscopies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Similar. Once you hit 40, right? Like that's what they say.
Yeah, I think so.
Next year,
Oofa.
finger up the butt.
Finger up the butt.
Oh man.
All right.
So this week's game is Tetris,
Yeah.
and we don't have any notes for it.
There's so much. I mean, honestly, it's like, how do you talk about Tetris? Everybody knows what Tetris is. I don't feel like we need to explain the game. Tetris is,
No.
the puzzle game from the 80s, right? It was like the one. Everybody
Mhm.
even knows what the guy who looks like who made it. I'm sure everybody at this point who's watching this show or listening to this show has seen the movie that came out on Apple TV a couple years ago, where they talked about like the controversy of the like Nintendo versus
The right holder type
yeah
stuff. Yeah.
versus Atari on that. It was a great movie, by the way. If you haven't seen it, it's just called Tetris. It's on Apple TV. Might be on YouTube too. So it's like, I mean, the history of this game is so long because it was created by Alexei Pajitnov
Pajitnov. Yeah.
in the 80s, and then it was ported like to, I mean, basically everything.
It's
I
like
think
the
the
most
only
ported game ever, or something like
I
that.
mean, it's either that or Doom, right? It's it's everything. So we kind of we slimmed it down a little bit for the purposes of our show, and even then we played 3 different copies of it. We played the NES by Nintendo version, the NES by Tengen version, and the Game Boy version. And I think you mentioned that you didn't get a lot of time to play the Tengen version. Well, I mean, like, it's Tetris, so it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, I like Tetris a lot. I'm not very good at Tetris, but I find it very relaxing to play. I also like modern versions of Tetris.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I have a version for the PlayStation 4 that uses VR.
Mm.
I can't remember if it's called Tetris VR or Tetris something, but it's very cool in that like the screen is up there, but there's all these kind of like effects flying by you, and it's very vibey with the
Is it Tetris Effect?
Tetris Effect. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very cool game. You can play on a
Yeah.
flat screen as well, but in VR, it's just kind of like,
Highly rated.
oh, it's very cool. The Game Boy game I feel like is the iconic Game Boy game, and like it wasn't just you playing it. It was your mother playing it. It was, you know, your brother and your sister playing it. Like Tetris is the the everybody game. And
Yeah.
I feel like it sold the Game Boy, right? Is it
Oh, 100%. Software sells.
yeah, I mean it came in as a pack in, I believe at some point. I don't know if the original, I believe it originally came as a pack
The
in.
original it was a pack in, yeah.
Yeah. And like there was a Mario game for the original Game Boy at launch and it stunk.
Super Mario Land. I mean,
Yeah.
it didn't stink, but it wasn't great.
Okay.
It was
I never liked it. But I mean,
it's really simplified graphically compared to like even the NES Super Mario Bros.
the point is though is that Tetris way overshadowed a Mario
Yes,
game at
yes.
launch, which is like the only time that's ever happened on a Nintendo console, right?
I mean, it
Even
was still early times for Super Mario Bros. At that point too. So
was it?
85. Yeah.
When did Mario 2 and Mario 3 come out?
Um,
Mario 3 definitely not till almost a Super Nintendo,
2
right?
came out in 88. 3 was like 91, wasn't it?
91. And then
I think
when
so.
did the Game Boy come out?
85.
It came
Well,
out in 85? No
I
way.
believe so. No, it was 88, I think, in the US.
Really?
89.
Even that feels
Sorry.
early.
89. 89.
89?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Mario 3 had come out, so it wasn't like the juggernaut. I feel like Mario 3 was when it became the juggernaut, right?
Yeah.
Mario 1 was it was popular. Mario 2 was popular, but Mario 3 that's when it became like a Mickey Mouse rival of like recognizable character.
Yeah. Mario 3
Oh.
was 90, early 90.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, still though, like Tetris was big. It was everybody could play it. It was so simple to understand. It was so hard to master. You know, it came with the Game Boy. I really enjoyed the Tengen version. I'm gonna actually I have that playing on the in the third window on the YouTube video right now, or in the box right now. What's interesting about this one is that on the right hand side, where like the second player would play if you were playing 2-player mode, it shows you the frequency, how often you've gotten each block with like a bar graph. Because you always feel like you're getting fucked, right? Like you never get and this bar graph is just laying it out for you. Like here's the pieces you've got so far. This one also shows you the next piece you're gonna get in the top left hand corner, which is pretty
Yep.
handy.
Pretty
the
much
NES
every version after that had that feature. Like
yeah, it's a nice feature.
Game Boy didn't have that.
No, it didn't. The Game Boy though, I feel like to me is the most iconic music. It's the one I remember the most.
Yeah.
But it's the one I least want to play now.
It's slow.
It is slow.
It feels slow because yeah. Like I like the versions where you can hit it up and it just pops the brick down. You
I
know?
like that too. But yeah,
I was gonna say with the Tengen Tetris, it has a competitive mode, which the NES version does not.
oh, I didn't realize the
Nintendo
NES version didn't have that.
Yeah, the regular Nintendo version didn't have a 2-player mode, and apparently the NES version lacked multiple difficulty levels.
Okay, so you just started on
So
one and it just got harder as you went.
Yeah, Tengen had both of those.
Yeah,
Tetris 2 has a co-op. Tetris 2 has a co-op, but regular Tetris did not.
the Tengen version is actually the first version I played. One of my buddies had that the copy of this game when we were kids. So this is the version I played. I never bought a copy of Tetris until I eventually got one with a Game Boy. Because
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
pretty sure Game Boy was mine too.
I was too cool for this kind of, brainy shit.
I actually played a lot of the DS version. I played a lot of the DS version when it came out because it was like the first online multiplayer Tetris.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I played that quite a bit because there was like ranked Tetris on the DS.
Yeah.
Tetris DS. It's great.
I don't think
Awesome.
my ego could handle knowing how poor I am at Tetris.
It was fun.
Did you play
No,
any
I
of the
enjoyed that.
Tetris 99 for the Switch?
I have. I can't win. Like, I'm not fast enough. I just
Yeah,
can't keep
people
up.
are really good at Tetris.
I've gotten like top 3 a handful of times, but like not like I've ever won.
Yeah. How did it feel going back? I mean, you've been busy, but we have had a while. Did you get a chance to play it all?
Yeah, I don't have like any of my consoles set up yet.
Yeah.
So I took my analog pocket and I
Dude,
put
it's
the
perfect
OG.
for the Pocket. It is
Yeah, I
so perfect on the Pocket. You played the Game
my
Boy
my
version
my
mostly?
copy of the Game Boy that I have, and yeah, I was just my son. I didn't even talk about this. My son learned to ride a bike like fully this last weekend. Like we've been working on
Yeah.
it for about a month slowly. So he was
Were
out
you
just
packing them up with
riding.
stuff and have them ride between the two houses?
He was just we actually live in a little loop now. So he was just like
Oh, nice.
riding in the little circle in front of our house, and I was just sitting on the porch playing with the analog pocket, playing Tetris
Keep
for
an
a
eye
bit.
on them. Good.
Yeah. So yeah, it was good. It's
Yeah,
fun.
it
I
is a
didn't get
perfect
very far.
handheld game.
I didn't get very far because it's so slow. Like, and when you have stuff at a certain height, and then you get the bar, like to get it over and then switched and then down for the Tetris, sometimes I just couldn't because I'm
Yeah.
like, come on.
Yeah, I found myself bouncing off the Game Boy version a lot quicker, but I did enjoy. I didn't really have a preference between the NES version and the Tengen version playing by myself. Honestly, I was enjoying both of them, and I think I like the music on the NES version a little bit better. But that might be
Yeah,
just out of familiarity because there are some good tunes on the Tengen version as well. And everybody's got like the Russian theme, like the stereotypical typical Russian music going. But
yeah.
I've just because I've heard the NES version so much. I don't know. I like it.
Did you
It's Tetris on
on
the
the
NES.
on the NES version? Did you try any of the rolling strat?
No, no.
Brah, 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 that they're doing. That's all. It's not even like I think they've eclipsed past rolling at this point.
I don't even.
I can't.
How does that work? I don't even know really what that
So you
does.
hold the direction pad with your thumb, and then on the back of the controller, you're like rolling brah, brah, with your other hand, with your fingers, like tapping it basically very quickly.
Why?
And so it bounces off your thumb and creates the input of moving. So that's how they get the pieces to like shoot to the other side faster, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
But I think some of the newer players are actually transcending past rolling, and it's like they have like a new strat. I don't know, I'm not sure what that is. I don't remember. Excuse me. Anyways, but like Blue Scooty, I think has like a new strategy that he has based on rolling stuff. It's slightly different. Anyways,
Interesting.
because that's a lot of what happened. A lot of the early reasons why they couldn't beat a certain level of Tetris is just like you can't get your fingers to move that. Like your thumb playing the controller traditionally, you
Oh,
just
because
can't.
it's just moving so fast at some point where you just can't
Yeah, like the
do
stuff is just like shooting
the
down,
inputs.
and so you have to like roll it over really quick
Interesting.
on those top levels.
Yeah. You got anything else to say about Tetris? I don't know. Like I feel like there's so much to say about Tetris, but it's like it's already all been said. Like so, I feel like I don't know. Like it's hard to talk about it. It's
Well,
almost like
there's like
talking
I've
about like a Mario game. You know?
yeah, I've pulled up a page of like top Tetris game facts. I can go through some of these. Um, the Tetris pieces are influenced by pentominoes. They call them tetrominoes, I think. And all the Tetris pieces, at least in the NES and Game Boy version, are all 4 pieces or 4 squares, which I found to be interesting. The playing field on Tetris is called a matrix. Has
Interesting.
nothing to do with the movie.
No, it does now in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever play any of the like the weirdo versions of Tetris that came like later, like Wetris or Hatris or anything like
I
that?
I own them, but I have not played a whole lot of them.
People talk about Wetris like it's like a fantastic game.
Wet tricks.
Wet Tricks, is that what it's called? It's not
The N
Wetris.
Yeah, the N64 game, I
Yeah,
believe, right?
I tried it one time and I don't know, like I just wasn't getting it. It wasn't like it wasn't working in my head for some reason, but people love it.
Well, I mean, I used to love like the Puyo games, like Puyo Pop for GBA
Yeah, I
was one
like
of
the
my
Puyo
favorite.
games. Yeah,
Um, and like Lumines or Luminous, however you want to call it, for PSP
yes,
was
that
also a
game
big love of
was
mine.
a vibe.
Yeah. So I mean, Tetris Effect is kind of like the Tetris version of that, in my
Did they
opinion.
ever make Luminous for a console?
I believe didn't
I think they did.
Limited Run created one.
Did they?
I think
That'd be interesting.
because there's a Luminous 2. Yeah, Luminous remastered. You can play on like Xbox One and stuff.
That'd be fun, actually,
Mm-hmm.
to put that on like a big stereo.
It's on Switch as well,
Yeah,
which is like the perfect. Yep.
I might pick that up because that game had such a soundtrack too, and it was like the way like the screen would just kind of like almost like bounce to the music. That game was a vibe. It was good.
The Tetris creator Alexei Pajitnov didn't get any royalties till '96.
Yeah, but now he's a very rich man.
Well, yeah, because they created him and Hank Rogers. They created the Tetris company and then took all the licensing in like 2002 or something.
Yeah,
So all the modern stuff, he's getting boatloads.
it was such a tragic story for so long, but now
Yeah.
it's a great story. I think he lives in Washington State. Is that right? And he's very rich and he seems very happy.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, Washington's where Nintendo's based out of. So, Pajitnov developed the puzzle mode for Nintendo's Yoshi's Cookie for SNES. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Tetris was the first game ever played in outer space.
Okay.
A game with only Z and S pieces will always end before 70,000 tetrominos are played. Those fucking pieces.
The Z and the S.
Yeah, the little
Yeah,
ones.
those ones mess me up probably the most. That and the square piece. The square piece should be so easy, but
Tough.
sometimes it's just not I
Yeah,
don't have a flat spot to put it.
sure.
I'm sure when you're good at it, there's always a flat spot. Like you know where to.
Yeah. The theme to Tetris is a 19th century Russian folk song.
Oh, really?
Korobainiki. Hollywood wants to make a trilogy of Tetris movies. I don't know. I think they might be making more Tetris movies. I can't remember.
I mean, there's plenty more story to tell, honestly.
Yeah.
That dude had a hell of a life.
Yeah. Tetris holds the Guinness World Record for most ported piece of software in history.
More than Doom?
It was as of 2011. 65 different platforms. And
Yeah.
that's only taking official ports into consideration.
Okay, official. Okay, because
Yeah, they
Doom
used to have
stuff.
hacked versions on TI-81 calculators.
Yeah, same with Doom. It's like I remember.
Yeah.
What was it? Do you remember when Max had like that little bar, the screen above the keyboard? They hacked Doom onto there. I don't know, whatever.
Interesting. It's also the top-selling game of all time as of 2014.
Wow,
425 million copies on mobile devices alone. It didn't take into consideration all the freeware, pirate, and custom versions that exist. Anyways, I'm just going through all the different facts. The smallest game of Tetris ever was played using an electron microscope and 42 glass microspheres. I can't even. It says the game were 1/10 to the 7th and 1/10 to the 4th m's in size.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
No,
What
I
that
don't.
means.
It's teeny tiny.
Anyway,
Yeah, it's fun.
anything else you want to say about Tetris? Should we talk about what are we going to do for next week game? Next episode's game?
If you haven't played Tetris somehow,
I don't believe
anybody? Do you think there's anybody in the world who likes video games who hasn't played Tetris? Before?
I'm sure because it's not nearly as popular and as well known now. So I'm sure there's plenty of kids who never played it.
I tried to get my.
I don't
son
know
to
if my
play
kids
Tetris.
have ever played it.
I tried to get my son to play Tetris. He's like, this is boring.
Yeah, I could see that. Like if you're not into puzzle games.
Yeah, hopefully one day.
I wonder if Tetris Effect would be better though. Like if you'd be more into that.
True.
Or Luminous.
He does like electronic music, so it's very possible. You have any pickups?
No pickups this week.
Or should we do the game for next episode first?
Up to you, whatever.
I only have 2 pickups.
Okay.
I haven't gotten much, but I had some credit on DK Oldies from sending stuff in, and I will check periodically if they get anything good in that's within reason and not super overpriced. And they had
Oh,
this
Contra
Contra
3: The
3,
Alien Wars.
the
Not
not
for
for resale
resale.
version.
So why
So
is
this
it
is
not for resale?
so this is like the demo cart that they would send out to game stores and stuff to
Oh,
use.
cool.
So these, generally speaking, older not for resale carts like SNES, N64, they're very hard to find typically. Um, I wouldn't say I collect these really, only when it makes sense, or like they're hard to find. There's not a huge market for them, but they're fun for me. I have the Street Fighter 2 not for resale, and now I have Contra 3 for the SNES. I have some other ones.
So what do you
Uh,
file those on your shelf? N or
no, I mean it's just the cart, so it's just going to be on the. I have those the nail polish things
yeah,
here.
so
That's
they
probably
just
going
be
to be on.
displayed.
I have shelves that are just carts that you can't even see because it's above the fold here.
Yeah.
But,
Are you gonna be careful about having sunlight come into that room and all that?
yes. So I
Yeah.
have a blackout shade behind the camera, and I have two windows that are currently not, but the shades are pulled. And then I bought blackout shades for those. My wife is really upset. She's like, "But natural light." I'm like, "Honey, this will be the one room in the house that won't have natural light.
Yeah.
One room. Just give me one room, because otherwise, like
Is
this
anybody
huge
else gonna use that
investment."
room anyway, or is it just gonna be your
I mean,
office?
well, there's gonna be a couch and a TV, and it's gonna be like the game room. It's gonna be like, if people wanna come over and play games or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like you can see the drum set there. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have that set up all the time. And but yeah, like, and you don't like, and I might get like a projector here. It's not gonna be like a sunroom. Like there's every other room in the house has windows
Yeah.
that you can sit, and anyways.
Yeah, I don't have
So
to worry
she
about that. My
finally
wife doesn't even come in this room except for like to
she
bring me food when I'm
finally
in full goblin mode. Oh my god. Jay, I've been playing the Elden Ring DLC,
yeah.
Shadow of the Erdtree. I am super goblin mode right now. I am like
Bring me hot pockets! Hot
yeah.
pockets!
I don't I don't even have time to eat them. Like I'm just playing the game. It's so good.
Yeah,
I'm so
that's
happy to
fun.
be playing it again.
That's cool that you have a game that you're feeling that. I don't have a game that I feel that way with at all right now.
Yeah.
So, but the other pickup was Quackshot.
Oh yeah, that's a classic. Two good
So,
ones, man. Those are both good games. Have you played
just
that
had
game
some
yet?
credit.
Quackshot?
I haven't. No.
Surprisingly good game.
Yeah. I mean, there's not very many Donald Duck games that exist.
No?
Mm-mm. There's one on Game Gear.
Yeah.
I don't think that one's very good though.
The Quackshot is pretty fun. It's like you have
No,
like
there's
this
one on
gun.
Game Gear. There's one on Game Gear that's not Quackshot. It's a different game.
Quackshot is pretty fun though. It's like you have
Yeah.
this gun that shoots like toilet plungers,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to use that to like solve puzzles and like navigate the world. Like you can like create levels and jump on them, and it's a fun game.
All right, I'm just double checking to make sure that there was one game I wasn't 100% sure if we had done yet.
Yeah.
So
Did
I
we
have
put
three
Tetris
games
on
in
here?
front of
Yeah.
me. I have three
Okay.
games in front of me. All of them are SNES.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you what type of games they are. Actually,
Okay.
I'm not even 100% sure what one of them is. They're all pretty valuable. So they're all like kind of more towards the rare,
Okay.
hard to find. So one of them is a shmup, which we've done a lot of shmups. One of them is a platformer, but using like platformer of the future. I'll try to keep it vague. And then
Platformer of the future.
and then the third one, man, how should I say? It's like a, how do I quantify this? It's science evolution game, but people say it's super interesting and fun.
Science evolution game. Feel like I've made you play so many shmups. And the SNES is a little risky with shmups. There's some real bad ones on there.
As far as I know, this is not a bad one.
Yeah. Man, I really like shmups.
Can we do the really I want to lobby for the really interesting one.
Yeah, well, it's
But
your choice, man. You get to pick.
how about I show you all three,
Okay. And then you tell me
and you
which one you're
can,
going to
yeah.
pick.
Okay, so the shmup is Space Megaforce.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
If I remember correctly, this one's pretty good. The developer is Tohoco. Here, you should look up reviews while I'm doing this. So Space Megaforce, Metal Warriors, which is a big one.
I'm
If I
not
remember,
familiar
I
with
can't
that one.
remember if this is connected with. I mean, it's like I think it's like a $300 cart. I think it's connected with what's the other Metal Storm. I think it's kind of like that
Oh,
game, if I
really?
remember correctly.
Is
Yeah.
it made by the same people?
Konami.
Is it a Konami game? Interesting. Okay. And what's the third one?
Evo.
Evo. I've never heard of that
So it's
one.
like dinosaurs, evolution.
Is that the one you're picking? Evo?
That's what I was gonna pick.
All right.
Let me.
E.
Metal Warriors was created by the most of the same team who worked on Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
Okay.
I was
I've never
gonna
heard
look
of it.
up. I was gonna look up reviews of all three, and we
Oh,
can
don't do that.
based on the.
Nobody wants to hear
Oh
you Google stuff.
no.
No.
All right, we'll do Evo then, because
Okay.
I've never
Evo it
played it.
is. And
It's
made by
E.V.O.
is that say Epix made by or Enix?
Enix.
Square Enix? Oh, probably before they were
Yeah,
Square Enix.
yeah, it's an Enix game.
Interesting. I'm
So
looking
how
forward to
bad
that.
can it be, right?
Evo it is. And we're not sure if we're gonna have an episode in 2 weeks from now.
Because I'll
But we'll
be
let you know on Twitter.
fresh coming back from GCX. If you're
Yeah.
listening and you happen to go to GCX, like I'm getting more excited about going, but I was really 50-50 for months on whether or not I was going to go,
Yeah.
because I've been really kind of out of it this year. But if you see me, please don't hesitate to come say hi, um, chalk up a conversation, whatever,
Yeah.
or say something silly about Briar that I will keep close to the vest.
Yeah. Give him a good slobbery kiss too. You know, COVID's over. We're all safe now.
No, please. The one thing I will say, like, I will be as nice as anybody ever would, but please respect personal space. That's like the one
Except for
thing
kissing.
I
He's open to kissing.
I have a I have a
On the
hard
mouth kissing. Just to be clear. None of that cheek bullshit.
I have a thing about personal space
Yeah.
and touching and like
Slip him a little tongue, you know? Make it friendly.
my God. Somebody gets a black eye, just blame Briar. He's laughing, you can't hear it. Reviews of Evo are good.
Are they
So,
good?
yeah.
All right. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not going to look at anything. I'm just going to boot the game up and just go into it. I'm looking forward to it.
I gotta figure out how to set up everything because I'm not gonna.
Yeah. Well, you got your pocket. You can always play in your pocket.
SNES game be tiny. Hugs are usually okay, but ask first.
That's fair. That's good policy.
Like sometimes if I don't know somebody, I don't know. What's that?
V6 in chat. Briar said this was cool.
I'm gonna be like,
All right, fellas. Thank you all for joining us. Have a wonderful week. Enjoy your play some Evo. Tell us what you think about it. And we'll tell you what we think in the next episode. Have a wonderful week. Be safe. And tell your mother you love her. You know, she wants to hear that shit.
Thanks for everything, everybody.
Yeah. Bye.